Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Raksha Patel and I make art videos. So today's video is in continuation of my previous video, which was mini watercolor painting ideas, and I promised you that I'm going to give you 10 ideas. In the previous video I gave you 5, so in this video I'm going to give you the next 5 ideas. Without further ado, let's begin. To begin with, I'm first adding a wet coat to my paper with water, of course, and then I'm gonna add deep yellow or yellow chrome from the above of my paper, and I'm dragging it to about 1/3 of my page. Then I'm adding orange and blending it with the yellow. Below the orange, I'm gonna add scarlet and I'm blending it with the orange above. And below the scarlet, to the bottommost part of my paper, I'm gonna add crimson red and I'm gonna blend it with the scarlet above. So once your background layer is completely dry, I am going to go ahead and add a tree branch from the middle of my paper. I'm using a dark brown color. You can also use black if you want. And then once you're satisfied making the branch, go ahead and add some birds. I'm also adding a little bit of grass below. Untape your painting and you're done. So the next painting is again a wet on wet technique. First I'm adding a layer of cobalt blue to the entire paper. Next I'm going to add Persian blue from the corners of my paper. Then I'm adding black again from the corners of my paper just to create a darker tone. Next I'm going to add viridian hue again from the sides of my paper. You want to make sure that everything is from the darker tones are on the sides and the middle portion comparatively remains lighter. Next I'm going to add small blots or patches, you can say, of yellow and crimson red, and you want to just sort of blend everything out, but you do not want to mix the entire thing, otherwise it will just create one very dark, dirty, pale color. You do not want that. Make sure that all of your patches are visible. So once I'm done blending, I'm going to go ahead and add a little more black from the sides of my paper just to create a bit more darker effect. And if you have any excess water, like you can see I have, you can just use a dry brush and pick up the color. Do not smudge it, pick it up using a stippling kind of a method. Just pick it up bit by bit. Do not drag the thing, otherwise your colors will just like sort of blend in and everything will become a very blotchy thing. You do not want that. So just pick up your color with a dry brush if you have any excess water. So the next painting is a fun monocolor painting. First I'm gonna wet my paper and then I'm adding a very transparent layer of Persian blue in lines and in slant directions, as you can see, and I'm gonna leave space in between the lines. Once you are done with the transparent layer, you can then go ahead and use a more thicker consistency paint, or basically a more opaquer, if that makes sense, a more opaque color, and create again the same slant lines. And you want to make sure that you have space in between the lines, because the basic idea here is just to create a gradient kind of an effect. It's really difficult to explain. You can just see it for yourself in the time lapse. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Let the layer dry. Then I'm gonna go ahead and add a tree using black. I'm using a small round brush for creating the trunks, and for the leaves I'm using a totally new effect called as the stippling effect. Basically what you do here is you take a dry brush, you dip it in your paints, and you just kind of stipple on your paper, as in you just press your brush on your paper, if that makes sense, and do that in like random strokes, not strokes you can say, but you can see in the video how it goes. So that's basically it. And yeah, untape your painting and you're done. The next painting is a hot air balloon scenery. So I'm gonna use deep yellow, or you can also use chrome yellow, and I'm gonna add that to about half of the page. And then I'm using a very little bit amount of yellow ochre and I'm blending it with the yellow above. After that I'm gonna use orange and I'm gonna blend it with the yellow ochre which I added, and below the orange I'm gonna add scarlet and I'm blending it with the orange above. Now once the background is completely dry, I'm gonna go ahead and fill in my hot air balloons. One thing which I forgot to mention earlier was that you can first trace your hot air balloons with a pencil. Just make a dark outline and then begin with coloring your paper, because watercolors are very transparent and the pencil linings will definitely show, and then you can just trace it with a pen when you're done painting. That becomes much more easier to trace the balloons. Once I'm done filling the hot air balloons, I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit of birds and some land below. Untape your painting and you're done. So the last mini watercolor painting that I have for you guys is the one that literally blew up my Instagram. I cannot believe this happened. I made a reel video for this painting and Instagram featured it, and it got more than 4.5 million views and over 100k likes. And it is just so overwhelming to have you guys here. I know many of you have joined my YouTube channel after seeing that, so I'm happy to have you guys, and here's a tutorial for that painting. Wet your paper with water completely, and I'm adding cobalt blue from the top in small strokes. Next I'm adding yellow below the blue, and I'm not gonna blend it with my brush a lot. I'm just putting small blots of the color, and I'll let the water on the paper blend the colors itself. Next I'm adding crimson in the lower part of the yellow in the same manner. Now again, if you feel that you have too much water on your paper, use a dry brush to soak up the excess water. Do not create strokes to soak it up. Just put your brush and let the water absorb in the brush itself. Otherwise you'll again end up creating a totally different color, and you might even end up with tearing pieces of the paper, so you do not want to do that. And I'm also adding a second layer of cobalt blue just to increase the opacity. That's it. If your colors are opaque enough, you can totally skip this step. Let this layer dry completely. Now using a small round brush and black, I'm gonna add two bushes, one in the center and on the side and the other in the corner. And you want to make sure that your strokes are small and overlapping each other and they're clustered together. Once you're done with this, go ahead, add 2 to 3 wires to it. Use a gel pen, that's much more comfortable. And then go ahead and add bulbs to it. I'm using a white gel pen for the bulbs. Once you're done with it, untape your painting and your masterpiece is done. So I hope you learned something new today. If you enjoyed watching the video, do give it a thumbs up, and also do not forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed yet. Please do, it'll mean a lot to me, and do share this video as much as possible. It'll help me a lot. See you in my next video. Bye.